The story opens with Annie, a girl trapped in a life she never chose. She's married to Jae Shihan, the heir of the powerful Jae family. But for Annie, this marriage is not a celebration. It's a sentence. She knew from the start that it would bring her nothing but sorrow, because it wasn't her choice. This wasn't the first time her father tried to force her into a marriage. When Annie was just 18, still a high school student, her father had tried to marry her off to an old man. But that day, something unexpected happened. Yvonne, a notorious student from her school, appeared like a savior and beat up all the goons her father had sent. From that moment, Annie began seeing Yvonne as her only hope. Despite Yvonne's bad reputation as a bully, Annie knew she had no other choice. She approached him and said, "I heard you protect people for money. Can you protect me too?" Yvonne, cold and amused, replied, "Do you even know who I am?" She offered him $20, everything she had. He mocked her offer. "Do I look like a beggar to you?" But seeing her desperate, pleading face, something in him changed. He agreed, but on one condition. "You will have to be my girlfriend." Annie agreed reluctantly, and Yvonne kissed her passionately. But for some reason, one day she decides to break up with him, stating that she is scared of him. Dottie shouts. As Annie sobbed helplessly, Yvonne watched her silently. When he approached her, she flinched. Furious at her fear, he shouted, "If you want to go, then get out of my sight." Fast forward to the present. Annie now sees her masked husband, Shihan, and for a moment she feels confused. Could he be Yvonne? But no, this was Jae Shihan, the ruthless heir everyone feared. When Shihan called her closer, Annie noticed something shocking. His voice sounded exactly like Yvonne's. Terrified but curious, she obeyed. Annie was never supposed to marry Shihan. The original bride was her sister, Young Shi, but Annie's father forced her into the marriage instead, using her late mother's bracelet and ashes as leverage. Now, Annie lives a double life. She tells the Jae family her name is Yang Shi and hides her real identity. One night, after drinking a glass of milk, Annie suddenly falls into a deep sleep. When she wakes up, she finds Shihan sleeping beside her, untouched. His presence is eerily similar to Yvonne. Curious, she gently removes his mask, wanting to see the man behind it. Yvonne tells her, "If you knew more about me, it wouldn't be good for you." Later, in the bathroom, Annie finds something that shocks her to the core. A hair tie she used in high school. But how did it end up here? Before she can process it, Yvonne appears and Annie questions him. Who is he really? But he deflects. Yvonne tells her, saying someone gifted it to him, and walks away. Then she gets a call from her father. He says she can come collect her mother's belongings. Annie, suspicious but hopeful, heads out. What she doesn't know is, this is a trap to get her killed. Yvonne insists on following her. She ends up at the same place where years ago, Yvonne had saved her. Memories flood back. She remembers his promise. As long as I'm here, no one can hurt you. But now, who will protect her? Just when her father's men attack her, someone starts beating them one by one. It's Shihan. Or is it Yvonne? When the mask falls during the fight, Annie sees the truth. Yvonne and Shihan are the same person. He puts the mask back on quickly. Annie asks, "What are you doing here, Yvonne?" He responds, "Look closely. I'm not Yvonne. I'm your husband, Shihan." Annie is shocked, but Yvonne, now revealed as Shihan, warns her, "Forget about me and think, who sent these men to kill you?" The truth hits her hard. Her own father wanted her dead. Meanwhile, her father celebrates, thinking Annie must be gone by now, and that he'll soon receive a huge bride price from the Jae family. Her sister Young Shi dreams of using the money to buy expensive things. But just then, Annie walks in hand with Yvonne Shihan. Everyone is stunned. Yvonne explodes with rage. "How dare you touch my wife?" Annie's father drops to his knees, begging for forgiveness. Yvonne looked at Annie and said firmly, "You're apologizing to the wrong person." Then he turned to her adoptive father and asked Annie to forgive him, but Annie wasn't ready. Her voice trembled as she said, "If I'm your daughter too, then why did you treat me like this?" But the man coldly replied, "You were never my daughter. I only raised you. Yes, maybe this time I crossed the line, but I brought you up since childhood. I'm even ready to give you your mother's ashes. Just forgive me." Annie's eyes filled with tears, but her voice was filled with anger. "You think giving me my mom's ashes will fix everything? After what you did to me all these years?" She demanded that he kneel down and beg for forgiveness. At first he refused, but Yvonne's presence and his silent pressure made him submit. He slowly knelt down. Annie asked where her mom's ashes were. He hesitated, but when Yvonne threatened him, he revealed it. They were kept in the storeroom, inside a dog cage. Shocked and devastated, Annie rushed to the storeroom, but while retrieving the ashes, they accidentally slipped and spilled onto the floor. Annie broke down. She wept uncontrollably. "Mom," she whispered, "don't worry. I'll get you justice." A while later, when she came out of the storeroom, Yvonne noticed she was hurt. Enraged, Annie grabbed a bottle and smashed it on Youngshi's father. Then she forced Youngshi's mother to kneel in front of the ashes and beg for forgiveness. But Annie still had one mission. She had to find her mother's bracelet, which had been sold by her adoptive father. She was completely shattered, but Yvonne stayed by her side, supporting her. He instructed his men to hand both the father and son over to the police. As the men were taking them away, gunshots rang out. Someone ambushed them. Youngster's father turned to see Mr. Gong had arrived. "What are you doing here?" he asked. Mr. Gong replied coldly, "I heard you got Annie married into the Ji family." Yangshu's father tried to defend himself. "It wasn't my decision. Mr. Shahan forced me into it." Hearing this, Mr. Gong's fury doubled. "Kill them both," he ordered. And just like that, his men shot both of them on the spot. Then Mr. Gong looked directly at Annie and said, "One day you'll come to me yourself." Annie suddenly woke up. It was all a dream. But Yuvan was right beside her. For the first time, she whispered, "Thank you." But thoughts flooded her mind. Was Shahan really not Yuvan? He looked just like him. He even had her old hair tie. And today, when Youngshir's parents called her Annie, Shahan didn't seem surprised. She confronted him. "So, that substitute marriage was all an act. You didn't want to marry Youngshir, you wanted to marry me. You already knew I was Annie." But Shahan calmly replied, "I already told you. My name is Shahan. Stop calling me Yuvan. He died 6 years ago." Annie stared at him. "You look exactly like Yuvan. You have my hair tie. You married me knowingly." He dismissed her. "You're overthinking. I'm Shahan. Yuvan is dead. Stop calling me by his name." Annie, overwhelmed, said, "This is ridiculous. You're lying." "Fine," he said. "If you don't believe me, I'll show you his body." Shocked, Annie resisted, but he dragged her to a cold storage room. There, she saw Yuvan's dead body. She gasped and broke into sobs. "You hated him, didn't you?" Shahan said coldly. "So now that he's dead, why are you crying?" Annie could barely breathe through her tears. "I never wanted him to die. But he died because of you," Shahan snapped. 6 years ago, someone tried to kill you. Yuvan gave his life to save yours, and you? You didn't even... He stopped. Annie remembered. Yuvan had tried to call her that day. She cried, "You said you'd let me go. Why are you still tormenting me?" "I'm not saying anything else," Shahan said. Looking at Yuvan's body, she collapsed with guilt. Shahan added, "You were suspicious of the hair tie, right? The truth is, Yuvan had it on his wrist when he died. And now I'm returning it to you." Annie took it in her hands, shaking. Memories flooded her mind. The last time Yuvan wore it. The way he smiled. She whispered, "Now everyone will make fun of me." But Shahan said, "This hair tie is proof that you were his and he was yours." Then, without warning, he kissed her. Annie blushed. She was already broken from within. Later, Shahan's secretary approached him. "Why are you lying to your wife?" Because the truth was, that wasn't Yuvan's body. It was his brother, Shahan's. Yuvan was still alive. Suddenly, Annie fainted. Yuvan panicked and called for a doctor. When she regained consciousness, she thought Yuvan was beside her. She whispered, "You came back. Are you angry at me? For leaving you? For being heartless?" Tears streamed down her face. "But I had no option," she confessed. "Yangshu's father threatened to throw away my mother's ashes. I was scared. I couldn't fight back." Yuvan stood still. For the first time, he realized he had misunderstood her all these years. Annie hadn't left him by choice. "I was scared of you," she admitted. "But I still fell in love with you." Yuvan leaned in and kissed her. "For 6 years, I've misunderstood you. If you want," Annie said, "you can hate me forever. I deserve it." And she passed out again. The doctor arrived and began her treatment. Yuvan turned to his secretary and said, "She never left me. She never hated me. And still, I let her suffer. You should stop stressing her out," the secretary advised. Later, Annie woke up, still murmuring Yuvan's name. Yuvan approached, but she thought, "This can't be him. My Yuvan is gone forever." He tried to feed her medicine, but she refused. "Why are you crying?" he asked, still feeling guilty about Yuvan. "Can you tell me more about him?" she asked. "He died because of me, and he had my hair tie." Yuvan nodded. "Actually, I have his diary. He wrote about you in it." Annie's eyes widened. "Can I read it?" "I'll give it to you," Yuvan said, "but you have to do something for me first. Make me happy." Annie hesitated, then nervously kissed him. He returned the kiss, deeper this time. "Happy now?" she asked. "Not yet," he teased. "I want you." Annie froze. Yuvan laughed. "Relax, I'm joking. Just eat your medicine." She nodded and took the pills. Then he gave her 1 page of the diary. As she read, she discovered how much Yuvan had loved her. How he saw a group of boys put rats in her lunchbox. How terrified she was that day. How she stopped eating after that. How Yuvan beat those boys, and then every day brought her food and begged her to eat. Today, she still refused to eat. So he offered her milk. When she got milk on her lips, he kissed her. The letter ended with the words, "This is my only wish." But Annie wanted to know the rest. She begged Yuvan for the next pages. "I'll give them," he said, "but you have to eat something first." "I don't feel like it," she replied. "Eat," he insisted, "and I'll give you the rest." So Annie quickly picked up her plate and began to eat. For the first time, Yuvan saw Annie so restless to know about him. He quietly handed her the next page of the diary and walked away. Annie opened the page slowly. It read, "My only wish is that you eat your meals with a smile every single day." She stared at those words for a long moment. Tears welled up in her eyes. Remembering Yuvan, she sat down and began eating, 1 bite at a time. Somewhere in the shadows, Yuvan was secretly watching her. When he saw her crying while eating, something inside him shattered. He took a step forward, almost ready to reveal the truth, that he was alive. But just then, a call came. Gong-min had killed young Shir and her father. Yvonne froze. It wasn't the right time yet. Meanwhile, Annie was growing anxious. Yvonne hadn't returned home. She thought about looking for the diary, but before she could do that, she got a call from the HR department. She had been shortlisted for a designer position. The interview was today. The next day, she goes for the interview and meets none other than Gong-min, the owner of Gong Company. He offers her $10 million to work beside him as the chief designer. Annie finds it strange as she is a newbie. But just then, Shahayan arrives and threatens Gong-min to stay away from her. Annie realizes they are not on good terms and decides to decline the offer. But Gong-min vows to bring Annie back at any cost. Enraged at Annie for not listening to him and going behind his back to meet a strange man, Sheehan threatens to teach her a lesson by burning Yuvon's diary. Annie tried to stop him. "You can't do this." But Yvonne didn't say a word to defend himself. Instead, he lit a match, and right in front of Annie's eyes, burned the diary to ashes. Annie cried out, "No, that diary had my mother's memories, and yours." But Yvonne's face was cold. "This is the punishment for not listening to me." He walked away, but deep down, he was drowning in regret. "You don't understand," he said quietly. "Staying away from Gong-min is for your own safety." Annie was completely devastated. She sobbed, "I wish I could just die." Yvonne stepped closer. "Don't say that. You have no idea. Gong-min wants to kill you." Annie looked up, shocked. Yvonne finally told her the truth. 6 years ago, someone from the Gong family tried to kill her. He also revealed that Yash and his father were murdered by the Gong family too. "But I have no connection to them," Annie whispered. "Why would they want me dead?" "I don't know yet," Yvonne said. "But until we figure it out, please stay home." He paused. "And I'm sorry. I shouldn't have burned the diary." Annie looked down. "Can I see Yvonne? Just once." Yvonne gently took her hand and led her to the cold chamber. Annie fell to her knees beside the covered body. "Sorry," she whispered. "Not only did I lose my mother's belongings, I lost your diary too." She held the lifeless hand. "Please wake up. The whole world is against me. They all bully me, but you always protected me." Yvonne couldn't take it anymore. That night, he called his secretary. "Buy the best design studio in the capital," he said, "right now." The next day was Yvonne's father's birthday. Yvonne surprised Annie by showing her the new design studio. "Of course, who wouldn't love a studio like this?" she said with a smile. "I wonder who it belongs to." Yvonne simply replied, "It's yours." Annie was stunned. The secretary added, "This is the best studio in the capital. Young master bought it yesterday, just for you." Annie looked at Yvonne. "Why would you do that?" Yvonne gave a small shrug. "Honestly, I don't know much about jewelry. Could you explain it to me?" Annie smiled for the first time in days and started showing him the collection. Her eyes lit up when she spotted a rare necklace. Yvonne watched her speak with passion and pride. He gently picked up the necklace and placed it around her neck. "I'm really sorry for yesterday," he said. "Will you forgive me?" Annie nodded. Yvonne leaned in to kiss her, but just then the secretary arrived. "Sir, you're needed for the birthday gathering." The moment was interrupted. Later that evening, they arrived at the old house. Yvonne introduced Annie to his parents, but his father didn't look pleased. In fact, he called Yvonne aside for a private conversation. What he said shocked Yvonne to the core. "You're Mr. G's legitimate son," he said. "You need to divorce Annie and marry someone from the Gong family. We'll find you a girl from a powerful name." Yvonne clenched his fist. "Why should I do that?" His father's voice turned cold. "Don't forget. You agreed to take Shahan's place to protect Annie, but now you're getting emotional." He paused. "You know you have only a few years left to live, and yet you keep risking everything for that girl." Yvonne stared straight into his father's eyes. "Even if I had one day left, I still wouldn't send Annie away. And let me remind you, I'm the current head of the G family. Don't raise your voice at me." The room went silent. His stepmother, who never liked Yvonne, was fuming. She saw Annie as the reason Yvonne replaced her son Shahan. During the party, she purposely tried to humiliate Annie in front of the guests. But Annie stayed quiet. She didn't want to cause a scene on Yvonne's father's birthday. But enough was enough. When the stepmother crossed the line, Yvonne stepped in. He slapped her. "Next time you even think of insulting my wife, I won't be so polite," he warned. "And this wine won't be going in your glass. It'll be over your precious grape garden." He held Annie's hand and walked out with her. After the massive argument, Mrs. J furiously told Mr. J, "Did you see how your son humiliated me?" Mr. J, filled with frustration, replied, "If your useless son hadn't died, I wouldn't have had to beg in front of Yvonne like this." Meanwhile, something unexpected happened. Yvonne had found Annie's mother's last keepsake, her precious bracelet. Annie was overjoyed. But things became more mysterious when the secretary revealed that the bracelet had been purchased just last month by a mysterious man named Gong-min. Annie met Gong-min, who greeted her warmly, saying it was good to see her again. But Yvonne, filled with anger, confronted him. "So you're the one who bought the bracelet?" Gong-min wanted to speak with Yvonne alone, so Annie stepped out. Gong-min calmly said, "I know you care about Annie, but I would never hurt her." Yvonne didn't believe him. That's when Gong-min did something shocking. He swallowed a bomb capsule and handed Yvonne the remote to control it. He said, "Now my life is in your hands. Will you trust me now?" Yvonne was shaken. He had no idea what Gong-min's real intentions were. Later, Gongmin gave Annie the bracelet. She was overwhelmed with joy and thanked him. Gongmin asked if she would come with him to her mother's grave as he wanted to pay his respects and meet the true owner of the bracelet. As Annie walked beside him, she wondered, how does Gongmin know so much about her mother? When her mother died, he would have been just a kid. And then the big truth was revealed. Gongmin was actually Annie's elder brother. He had once hated their mother for personal reasons, but today at her grave, he asked for her forgiveness. Just then, Gongmin received a call. A mysterious voice asked, "When are you going to kill Annie?" He says, "Don't worry, everything is going according to the plan." At the same time, Yvonne was worried about Annie's safety. He heaved a sigh of relief only when Gongmin brought her back. He told Annie to sit in the car as he has something to discuss with Gongmin. In his office, he threatened Gongmin to stay away from her, as he knows 7 years ago his family tried to kill her. Gongmin reassures him that he doesn't want to hurt Annie when Yuvan still threatens him. Gong blackmails him too. "If you stop me from pursuing her, I will tell her about your real identity. After knowing that you lied, will she still want to stay with you?" Later, while returning home, Yuvan and Annie's car meets with an accident. Then they both are kidnapped and kept in the same cold storage room where Shihan's body lies. This is done by none other than Yuvan's stepmother because she can no longer stand Yuvan, her husband's illegitimate son, pretending to be the true heir of the family. She was the one who had called Gong Min before. They keep an eye on Annie and Yuvan through the surveillance camera, where Yuvan was trying his best to keep Annie warm. He was ready to freeze in the cold and sacrifice his life for her. Gong Min had an epiphany, and the truth is, Gong Min was never at Yuvan's stepmother's side. He not only informs Yuvan's secretary, who rescues them both in time, but also informs Mr. J about his wife's evil plan. Mr. J breaks all ties with her and sends her to rot in prison. In the hospital, as soon as Annie wakes up, she rushes to find Yuvan, but he was nowhere to be found. Instead, she meets his father, who tell her Shihan is actually her Yuvan. Now we also find out a hidden truth years ago. Mr. J had asked Yuvan to take the place of his late son, Shahan, because the two looked exactly alike. In return, Mr. J promised to protect Annie from the Gong family. Yuvan agreed for Annie's safety. Eventually, Annie discovered that her husband was actually Yuvan. She was beyond happy. She ran home, called him by his real name, hugged him, kissed him, and the two finally reunited. That night, they spent time together truly as one. But Annie knew Yuvan's life was still in danger, and she was ready to do anything to save him. She went back to Gong Min and begged for the medicine. Gong Min agreed, but he had one condition. He took her to a room and asked, "Have you ever seen your mother's face?" Annie said no. She was just 2 years old and her mother passed away. Gong Min showed her a painting. It was a woman who looked exactly like Annie. It was their mother. He asked her to finish a painting one that showed the three of them: Annie, Gong Min, and their mother. Meanwhile, Yuvan woke up and panicked when he saw Annie was gone. His father told him she had gone to the Gong house for his medicine. Yuvan, full of rage, rushed to get her back. As Yuvan arrived, Annie tried to calm the situation and begged Gong Min not to hurt him, but Gong Min was determined. He said Annie belonged with the Gong family because she was one of them. Yuvan pulled a gun, threatening Gong Min, but Gong Min said, "She's my sister. She should stay with me." Just then, Annie interrupted, saying she had completed the painting. Gong Min looked at it and became emotional. For the first time, he saw the complete picture of the family he had never truly had. He gave Annie the medicine and told her to go. Even though they couldn't be a real family in life, Gong Min was happy that the painting captured the bond he had always longed for. Annie was confused. Why would someone from the Gong family, who once wanted to kill her, now help her? Then came the final twist. Gong Min left Annie a letter. In it, he confessed that he, too, once hated her. He was jealous that their mother had loved Annie more. When the family tried to harm her, he never stepped in. But watching Yuvan, who was willing to die for her, changed him. He wrote, "When someone truly loves you, they're ready to sacrifice themselves. You never received love from me or our mother, and for that, I'm sorry. All I want is for you to be happy with someone who truly cares for you." Annie read the letter with tears in her eyes. Yuvan told her, "Gong Min wanted you to be happy. Don't ever forget that." Annie promised. Later, Annie was seen painting a new picture of herself and Yuvan. She also started a foundation with Gong Min's support to help young girls receive proper education. And finally, Yuvan proposed to her. And Annie said yes. Their painful journey had brought them together. And after everything they had been through, Annie and Yuvan were finally together forever. So friends, that's the end of the story. If you liked it, please let me know in the comments. And until next time, take care and goodbye.